Alright everybody, how are we doing today? So here's a country that I don't really cover much. And it's interesting that I should cover this. This is a sort of a new one that I picked up today. Uh, they're just our northern neighbors, just a little up north of us. Why haven't I talked about them before? I'm a little beside myself, actually. But from Ruptly, lack of alternatives, broken electoral system delivers win for Justin Trudeau of Canada. Canada's Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, celebrates his narrow election victory as a success. Yet, in fact, he managed to stay in power largely thanks to a complicated Canadian electoral system and a lack of competition. You've sent us back to Ottawa. You have given us a clear mandate, Justin Trudeau told a crowd at his campaign. Headquarters in Montreal, Quebec. These aren't the words of a man who recognizes that voters stripped him of a majority, including a net loss of 30 seats in his home province. Judging from the mood and words at Trudeau's victory party, one could be forgiven for not knowing that his Liberals lost over 1 million votes compared to 2015, or that their share of the popular vote around the country plummeted by over 6 points. This almost sounds like election rigging. Is it election rigging? Because it kind of sounds like it. He is basically running uncontested, running unopposed. It would be nearly impossible to know you are celebrating the win for the party that actually got the second largest number of votes. The numbers obviously tell a different story. In addition to numerous other indications from election night that show Canadians are not happy with JT. Jody Wilson-Raybould, Trudeau's former Attorney General who quit Trudeau's cabinet due to their attempts to interfere with her office's investigation into a criminal case against Quebec-based construction company CNC Lavalin ran, and won as an independent. She left the Liberals in protest and was awarded the electorate for her move. The reason behind the disenchantment with the image-obsessed Trudeau are many well-documented and often discussed pundits from all political stripes on election night acknowledged that Trudeau's appeal had lost its luster, but in spite of this he will be returning to 24 Sussex Drive to serve a second term as Canada's Prime Minister. So how is it that Canadians can be simultaneously pissed off at someone and vote them back in? In short, the Liberals didn't exactly get voted back in. In Canada's flawed electoral system, Liberals won 33% of votes, but 46% of the seats. The Conservatives won 34.5% of the popular vote, but 37% of the seats. And the centre-left NDP obtained just 7% of the seats with 16% of votes. Yeah, there's definitely something fishy going on here, eh? Your electoral system sounds like it stinks. And as to JT or Justin Trudeau being image-obsessed, I mean, yeah, he's a politician. You name me the politician that isn't a little obsessed with their public image. I mean, come on. That's pretty obvious. They all are to some extent. Just some don't realize that certain things make their public image look terrible. Such figures, which might look confusing, are indeed a result of the Canadian electoral system dubbed first past the post. The country is divided into one candidate constituencies known as ridings. A candidate with the highest number of votes in a riding gets a seat in Parliament, and they do not even need to gain an absolute majority of votes, more than 50%. Back in 2015, Trudeau said he would do away with the first past the post system, but reneged on his pledge precisely because it disproportionately reinforces the Liberals' position atop Canada's political landscape. Beyond the limits this system already puts up for people seeking alternatives to the ruling party, the other options also fail to inspire. Sure, NDP has a good left populist program and a strong social media presence, especially in the latter part of the campaign. However, most activists I spoke with before the election were pretty unmotivated given the party spent much of the year on the sidelines. On the right, the Conservatives under Andrew Scheer weren't able to capitalize on a weakened and scandal-marred government, in large part because much of the country doesn't want either the austerity or the sort of social policies that some conservatives push. This played into the Liberals' tried-and-true election failsafe, calling for strategic voting. It works like this. Liberal activists and politicians drum up fears about the impact of conservative policies to scare non-right-wing voters. That is amazingly filthy. That's hitting below the belt. Naughty, naughty boy, JT. But I mean, go figure. All these politicians are dirty in some way. People that act like Justin Trudeau is especially dirty or especially image-obsessed, but really he's very run-of-the-mill. At least he would be in America. I don't know about Canada, but down here, down just south of y'all, he would be very much run-of-the-mill. If you're a Christian, please pray for us. But anything but conservatives is then presented as a pragmatic way to ensure that a Tory government does not get elected. The votes of those swayed by the ABC mantra defaults Liberals as the most viable option to achieve the objection of keeping out the Conservatives in spite of the Liberals' own track record or policies. For years and at various levels of government, the Liberal Party has but successfully invoked lesser evilism to their benefit, and it certainly helped push the Liberals ahead in a number of key areas. The number of those who couldn't be bothered to vote due to apathy or no appealing option also increased considerably. So no, Justin Trudeau did not win these elections. He did not regain the trust of the voters, nor did he shed the baggage he has accumulated over the last few years. He lost just enough to keep his job by playing the system, and his opponents, in spite of the obvious dissatisfaction of the populace, many of whom held their nose while they cast a ballot for him. Well, here's the thing. There's a couple things you can do. Stop thinking about the lesser of two evils. Choosing the lesser of two evils is still choosing evil. Stop choosing evil. Okay? That's simple. If there are no appealing options on the ballot, just don't vote. Just don't. You don't vote, that'll put some pressure on them. Maybe they'll change their ways. I know that to a lot of people that probably sounds absolutely crazy. I think it sounds crazy too. But when you think about the practical application, imagine if people just stopped voting in a democracy. What would the politicians do then? Maybe they try to find out why, and maybe try and encourage the people to vote by making themselves more appealing. That puts the power directly in your hands. Then you can establish what would make them more appealing, and then they would be at your beck and call. I don't know. Maybe it's too crazy. Maybe it would never happen. But I just can't help but feel like maybe that would be a plausible application of non-voting as a form of protest. You can protest your government by simply not voting in a democracy. Isn't that amazing? I don't know. Maybe it sounds crazy, but I think that, you should probably give it a shot. But no, I don't think Justin Trudeau or JT is any less dirty than any politician anywhere else, or any more dirty, I should say. He's pretty run-of-the-mill. But yeah, you guys need to fix that voting system of yours. It's gonna fuck you over in the end. I know it. I know it is. Anyway, peace.